We're still going to come. If they throw me in jail, they throw me in jail.
The capital's homeless fight back to prevent soup runs being banned by Westminster Council. Good evening and welcome to the programme. First tonight, a desperate plea from homeless people in one part of London to keep the soup runs they rely on for a daily meal. Westminster Council has the highest number of rough sleepers in the capital and last month said it wanted to ban food handouts from the area around the cathedral to discourage rough sleeping. It also claimed many people who queue for the food aren't homeless at all. So our reporter Gareth Furby spent the night with volunteers to investigate.
In Blackheath, it's all go in the Coombe family kitchen.
We have enough for 100 people. Tonight we've got fajitas, we've got hot sausages on a stick.
There's also soup and sandwiches made in another house. The charity Street Souls has been doing this soup run for almost 2 years, but now they're leading a rebellion.
Regardless of what happens, we're still going to come. If they throw me in jail, they throw me in jail. We're still going to be here on the first and third Friday of every month.
Westminster Council is now planning a bylaw to ban soup runs in this part of London, and last week made a bold claim.
You go and see what it's like at the soup run. You'll see that a very small percentage of the people there are genuinely homeless.
So, last weekend, at BBC London's suggestion, Street Souls carried out a mini census of the people they were feeding.
Do you sleep on the street in Hyde Park? Hyde Park. And where do you sleep most of the time?
Wherever.
Wherever you can.
Of course, it wasn't scientific or independent, but 37 people were surveyed and a conclusion drawn.
I've actually now, looking through this list again, only found one who said they're going to be in private accommodation tonight. After seeing this, I think it is imperative that the bylaw is not passed.
I think you'll find that every night on the street you get a different mix of people. All I reiterate is on the times that I have been out with my outreach workers on the academic research that we have commissioned and that I have read, that these soup runs attract a multitude of people, not simply the needy and the homeless.
It means I get to eat hot food. I get a nice slim bag to keep myself warm at night. Without this, we wouldn't have anything really.
Can't stop the food run. We will starve to death. Don't do it.
Westminster Council's argument is that soup runs just keep people on the bottom rung.
OK, bye-bye.
When what they really need is a leg up from off-street organisations like this.
And what does the position entail?
But even here, there's an admission that soup runs still have a place.
It's not just about maintenance. It's about the basic human need for food that draws people in and then will help them engage in other services.
And then there's the question of whether a £500 fine will stop someone like Sam, who's been handing out food in Westminster for 18 months, even though he's homeless himself.
OK, I've got 2 bacon. Fine. How can you find a person without any income?
The consultation on this idea runs until the end of the month. Gareth Furby, BBC London News.
And later in the programme, we'll be talking to 2 charities and their differing views on this. Do please send us your views and questions and we'll put some of them to them later. Email us or contact us on Facebook or on Twitter. The details, as you can see, on your screen now. Joining us is Alistair Murray from the Housing Justice, a charity that coordinates soup runs in London, and also Jenny Edwards from the charity Homeless Link. Welcome to you both and thank you for joining us. So we have already had a few emails and tweets in. We'll come to those in just a moment. But first, Jenny, you chair, in fact, the Mayor's Roundtable on Homelessness. So would you advise the Mayor that banning soup runs is a good idea?
I'd advise the Mayor to do the things that make the most difference, and I think soup runs are neither a particular help nor does it help to ban them. It just creates a complete diversion. There's been a really broad alliance of people from faith groups, professional groups, local government, working to end rough sleeping. And soup runs just shouldn't be top of the agenda.
Sorry, you said not to ban them nor to have them. So what would you suggest?
I'd say actually to work in dialogue to help the people who've got a very good impulse to help people on the streets, to do something that actually is a bit more modern and a bit more helpful to solve people's homelessness than dishing out soup.
Alistair? So what you do, basically, coordinating soup runs, they just don't work, according to Jenny.
Well, I'm afraid they are needed. A lot of the people that rely on the soup runs aren't really well provided for in other ways. And soup runs are meeting needs not just for food, but for companionship, for social needs. And many of the people that do use them really rely upon them.
Actually, we have had an email here from Claire who says, surely Westminster City Council would welcome this charities initiative. After all, it's a fine example of the Conservatives' much said big society in action, isn't it? Jenny, doesn't Claire have a point there?
I think the impulse that drives people to come and provide this service is a really good one. And actually, there are things that people can do to use that impulse that are better than just handing out soup. Actually, a lot of people provide that help to individuals who are vulnerable back in their communities to make sure that they don't become homeless.
So do you back Westminster's bylaw to get soup runs banned?
No, I don't think it's the right response to the question. I think banning soup runs is simply going to create a lot of soup run martyrs, and it doesn't tackle the homelessness and solve people's homelessness, which we urgently need to do. And in addition, they're talking about arresting people for sleeping rough, and that's completely out of order.
So, Alistair, what do you think will happen if soup runs are stopped?
I think, as Jenny says, a lot of people will be going hungry and a lot of volunteers will be queuing up to break the law because people see the needs that are out there that aren't being well met in other ways, and they're determined to keep reaching out to people. I think this comes at a time that we have to realise there are a lot of cuts across different services. Day centres, for example, are struggling with funding, hostels are closing, and it's not the right time to be talking about clamping down on volunteers.
And what about Westminster's, one of their views, in fact echoed by an email from Greta, who says, I stand by Westminster's proposal. There are a lot of scammers out there pretending to be homeless. One of the issues that they say is it attracts more needy and homeless people.
Whichever way you look at it, the needy part of it, let's just say it's about poverty, it's about people that don't have much in the way of other networks. And while I'm, sympathetic to the idea that we could do better, because, we are working really to improve services more in the way of evening drop-in services, for example, overnight provision for people who are on the streets. That's what is so lacking. But, this is just simply the wrong sort of approach to the issue.
OK, I'm so sorry we have to leave it there, but thank you both very much indeed for your time this evening. We appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome.